Nikkei Asia News Roundup
with Jada and Brian. Welcome to the Nikkei Asia News Roundup with your hosts Jada and Brian,
bringing you the latest updates and insights on the dynamic world of Asia and more.
Now let's delve into the headlines. This program is brought to you by Nikkei.
Hong Kong conglomerate C.K. Hutchison has agreed to sell port assets to a consortium led by U.S. investment firm BlackRock, including those at the Panama Canal, where U.S. President Donald Trump objected to what he described as Chinese control.
Malaysia's anti-graft agency confirmed Monday that former Prime Minister Ismail Sabri is a suspect in a probe into alleged corruption and embezzlement of government funds worth tens of millions of dollars.
ANA Holdings will order a one-time record of 77 new aircraft from a variety of manufacturers for about 2.2 trillion yen, or $14.7 billion, based on list price, the Japanese airline has announced as it looks to tap increasing global air travel demand.
China retaliated against the latest U.S. trade war salvo on Tuesday, with new levies on a wide range of agricultural products, underscoring Beijing's desire to show resolve as leaders gather for their biggest annual political event this week.
Indonesia has launched a much-anticipated sovereign wealth fund that government officials say is key to hitting President Prabowo Subianto's 8% target for economic growth.
The Philippines' largest nickel ore miner is expanding its renewable energy business, as it pushes to grow beyond core operations that have been overshadowed by volatile metal prices. Now moving on to the next segment.
Thailand's fascination with gold soars into the cloud. There are more than 6,000 shops selling jewelry and gold bars across Thailand, but these days the vast majority of trading in the precious metal, which has been on a 30-month bull run, takes place in the cloud, with millions of Thais buying and selling it online. As of 2023, 4 out of the kingdom's top 10 revenue-generating companies were in the gold business, even beating out the ubiquitous 7-Eleven convenience store chain with more than 14,500 outlets. There are a few criteria to be able to trade in gold online, but 2 key ones are being older than 20 and having a Thai bank account. Unlike elsewhere in the world, in which investors buy myriad financial instruments related to gold, virtually all Thais buy the physical metal, even though many do not ever see what they are trading. Thai people worship gold. They really love it, said a co-founder of the Thai Gold Traders Association. Gold is the king of all metals because gold does not rust, does not dissolve in water, will stay a child forever no matter what, and will never lose weight. You put it in the ground for 10 years, 100 years, it will still be there. The only thing gold is not good for is income. Gold doesn't give interest, he added.
China races to govern the country with DeepSeek, but at what risk? Since startup DeepSeek became the pride of China by single-handedly crushing NVIDIA's stock price with its low-cost approach to artificial intelligence, local governments have been racing to use the model for everything, from drafting documents and analyzing data to answering public queries and drawing up policies. At a time when Italy, Australia, Canada, South Korea, Taiwan, and the U.S. have all banned or are moving to ban the use of DeepSeek on government devices, China's enthusiastic embrace of the technology is raising concerns over data security, potential waste of resources, and the consequences of AI hallucinations on policymaking. Hundreds of government agencies across China have already integrated DeepSeek, executing tasks ranging from Q&A, data analysis, drafting documents, and assigning of public service hotline work orders, to policy consultation and business processing for the public. Governments tend to be cautious about using AI tools on official devices, given the newness of the technology and uncertainty around associated risks. Even within China, the moves by local governments are raising concerns.
And now for news highlights. In each episode, Jada and I have a discussion about a recent article that has particularly captured our attention.
And today we'd like to talk about Islamic finance and how it's growing across Southeast Asia.
First of all, we're in the middle of Ramadan right now.
Oh, happy Ramadan.
Yes, and happy Ramadan to anybody celebrating or observing.
Yes.
But we're not going to talk about Ramadan today, but we are going to talk about Islam, particularly Islamic finance.
Yes, I think it's maybe a pretty new term for many who are not following Islam, but it's basically a way of managing money and doing business while adhering to the moral principles of Islam.
It's Islamic law. I've heard about it years and years ago, and then it wasn't on my radar that much. But yeah, basically it covers things from bonds and insurance and bank stuff, but it avoids interest rates or that kind of thing. And,
I kind of had to look it up to see more in detail of what the definition is, but it said that in other words, you shouldn't be able to simply make money from money. So it's more about paying or receiving interest should be avoided. So a lot of the bonds are not about interest, right?
Yeah, and it was also interesting. There's a moral side to it where they won't finance Islamic financing won't finance businesses involved in alcohol, gambling, or arms sales,
tobacco,
that stuff like that. So it's curiosity in a way of if you're not familiar with it, how's it going? And the biggest countries that deal with Islamic finance are countries with a large Muslim population.
Yeah.
That's like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates,
Iran.
But in Southeast Asia, the big one is Malaysia.
Yes, I think in the article it quotes that the region, so the Southeast Asia region, accounted for some $859 billion, or 17% of the total 4.9 trillion global market in 2023, and it's still growing. So Malaysia is one of the biggest countries in Southeast Asia with the Islamic finance market, right?
And then that leaves the question, whenever we mention Indonesia, we like to mention that it's the fourth largest country in the world.
Yeah.
It's the world's largest Muslim country. So how's it going there with Islamic finance? And the answer is it's significantly smaller compared with Malaysia, but it's growing.
It's kind of interesting because Indonesia has the biggest Muslim population in Southeast Asia, but Malaysia's the biggest Islamic finance market as of now. But as you said, Indonesia is still growing. There's a what was it called? Islamic Finance Development Indicator Ranking, which is there. We have a graph in the story as well. So Malaysia is the, I think, Malaysia and both Indonesia, their scores soared last year. Malaysia jumping to 40% and Indonesia 46.5%. So, the market is growing very rapidly in those two countries.
Yeah, and that was another thing the story points out is that there was a dip over the past few years with the popularity or growth of Islamic finance.
Yeah.
And a lot of reasons were involved, like supply chain problems, the war in Ukraine, and a big one was the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, and right now also inflation, interest rates, that's also affecting the market. So, but it seems like experts quoted in the story are believing that the market will continue to grow. And not just those two, but the story also mentions the Thailand, Philippines, and Singapore as well. Singapore basically it's a market hub, so they're kind of expanding into Islamic finance. But Philippines, Thailand.
Yeah, that was the other part of the story is that Malaysia is right now 80% of the Southeast Asian market for Islamic finance, and they're showing how it's done for the rest of the. And one of the fascinating ones I thought was the Philippines, which actually got started early on in this in the 1970s. But if you know about the Philippines, it's majority Catholic. But there is a sizable Muslim population there. And so they're looking on that to help build up their business in the Philippines and cooperate with other countries in the region.
So overall, in the story, one stat is quoted that global Islamic finance market in value will exceed 7.5 trillion by 2028, and that Southeast Asia's share will likely to grow. Another, I guess, angle is that Islamic fintech firms are kind of riding this wave and are growing in the region as well.
And Islamic finance is also embracing trends in banking that aren't related to interest or other things like that, such as digital banking.
Yes.
So there is a future to be had here.
And that brings us to the close of today's episode.
We look forward to having you join up again for the next edition of the Nikkei Asia News Roundup.
Stay informed, stay curious. Until next time, I'm Jada.
And I'm Brian. See you again, and take care. This program is brought to you by Nikkei.